My husband required me to fulfill all the whims of his mother. But after she slapped me in public. Mary had been married to Sam for over 5 years and working at a travel company for what felt like forever. But her real dream was running her own hotel. Not just any hotel, but a cozy spot for tourists at a ski resort she had her eye on. One chilly Tuesday, while sipping her morning coffee and scrolling through ads, she saw it. A sale listing for a property right where she wanted it. "Sam," she called out, her heart racing with excitement. He wandered into the kitchen, his hair tousled from sleep. "Check this out," she said, pushing her laptop across the table toward him. His eyes skimmed the screen, already frowning. "Mary, you know we can't afford this," he muttered, pushing the laptop back without much enthusiasm. "That's where you're wrong," she shot back, already prepared for this conversation. "We can if we're smart about it. We have the savings, and I've already worked out the potential earnings in this business plan." She handed him the folder filled with tables and forecasts. Sam leafed through it, his brow furrowing deeper with each page. "This looks solid, Mary, but it's a huge risk, and you know I'm not up for running a hotel." "I don't need you to run it," she replied, hoping he'd see the potential. "I just need you on board with the decision." "You know I could ask my mom for the money," Sam suggested hesitantly. The thought alone made Mary's stomach turn. "No, absolutely not," she blurted out, quicker than she intended. "We can handle this on our own." Sam looked surprised but nodded. "Okay, it's all on you then. I'm out of the hotel business side of things." "Deal." Mary agreed quickly, relief washing over her. She knew she could handle it. She just needed him to not fight her on it. To celebrate, she pulled out a bottle of wine from the fridge and 2 glasses. "To our new adventure," she said, filling the glasses with a flourish. Sam raised his, a reluctant smile creeping onto his face. "To your new adventure," he corrected, and they clinked glasses as they sipped the wine. Mary couldn't help but let her excitement bubble over. "Imagine it, Sam, a cozy little hotel. Guests coming back all flushed from skiing. Sitting by a roaring fire with you bossing around a bunch of staff and fluffing pillows." Sam joked, but Mary could tell he was warming up to the idea as he saw how happy it made her. And just like that, it was settled. She was on her way to making her dream come true. No meddling mother-in-law, just her and a building waiting to be turned into the most charming little hotel by the slopes. Mary bought the room. It wasn't just any room, it was the beginning of her dream. A small family hotel right next to a ski resort. She had plans, big ones, to eventually buy the neighboring room and expand. But first things first, renovations. Every day after work, Mary hustled over to the site. The builders and the designer became her new evening companions. "Let's keep the rustic charm, but modernize where it counts," she told Alice, her interior designer, as they walked through the empty shell that would soon be bustling with guests. "Got it, boss." "How about these tiles for the bathroom?" Alice held up a sample, her eyes bright with a vision. "Perfect," Mary nodded, scribbling notes on her clipboard. Between choosing paints and fixtures, she was neck-deep in paperwork, juggling permits and licenses like a circus act. Each night, she'd crawl back home well past midnight, her brain buzzing with plans and to-do lists. Then there was Sam. She'd get home to find dirty dishes piled high and take-care boxes littering the counter. "Sam, can you help out a bit here? It's like a bomb hit this place." He'd look up from his game surprised. "Babe, you knew what this was going to be like. I told you I'm hands-off with the hotel." "It's not just the hotel, it's this mess too. I'm not asking you to swing a hammer, just maybe pick up a sponge." Sam would just shrug and turn back to his screen. "That's your gig, Mary. I didn't sign up for this." Every part of her wanted to scream, but instead, she gritted her teeth and kept pushing at the hotel. She didn't just oversee, she got her hands dirty too, hauling trash, cleaning windows, you name it. The workers probably thought she was nuts, but she wasn't above any task that would bring them closer to opening day. "Mary, you sure you don't want to leave that to us?" Alex, one of the builders, asked as she lugged a bucket of soapy water across the lobby. "No way, Alex. This is my baby. I want to make sure every corner is perfect," she said, wiping sweat from her brow. As the days rolled on, the place transformed. The 10 rooms took shape, each with its own cozy vibe, inviting and warm. The furniture arrived, and they filled each room with beds you'd sink right into, plush sofas and art that made you feel at home. When the staff came on board, Mary felt a mix of nerves and excitement. She trained them herself, sharing her vision and hoping they'd love this place as much as she did. All booked up for opening weekend, boss, Tina, their new receptionist, beamed at her one evening. Mary couldn't help but smile back, her heart swelling with pride. Thanks, Tina. It's all coming together, isn't it? Absolutely. People are buzzing about this place already. Walking through the completed hotel, Mary felt a sense of accomplishment that was hard to describe. The tired evenings, the endless decisions, the physical and mental marathon, it was all worth it. This hotel was hers, built on her terms, her sweat. In a few weeks, her dream would be fully alive. And despite the hurdles, she felt ready. She had built something from nothing, and now it was time to see it thrive. The eve of the grand opening was supposed to be about final touches and celebratory toasts. Instead, it turned into a battleground. Mary's phone rang, and she knew from the caller ID that peace was about to be disturbed. It was Linda, her mother-in-law. "Mary, darling, I need you to book 4 rooms for me and my friends this weekend." Linda's voice rang out, sharp and expectant. Mary's stomach knotted. "Linda, that's impossible. We're fully booked. I told everyone how quickly the rooms filled up." The line crackled with Linda's fury. "Listen here, I will not be sidelined. If you don't make room for me, I'll make sure your hotel can't open at all." Mary clenched her teeth. "That's not how this is going to work. I can't kick out guests who booked weeks in advance." Linda hung up with a huff, leaving Mary staring at her phone in disbelief. The next morning, as if on cue, a municipal commission showed up unannounced. A troop of clipboard-toting inspectors began their march through the hotel. They checked every nook and cranny, the kitchenette, the doors, even the parking lot dimensions. Mary's heart sank as they wrote note after note, their expressions unreadable. By the afternoon, the head of the commission handed her a list of violations. "Fix these by the opening or face hefty fines," he warned before they all filed out, leaving a thick air of tension behind. Barely an hour later, Linda called again, her voice dripping with venomous pleasure. "Heard you had some visitors today. Funny how things work out when you don't play nice." Mary's grip tightened on the phone. "What are you saying, Linda?" "Oh, come on, Mary, you're smart. Figure it out. I have my ways and my connections. Give me those rooms, or things get worse." Mary was seething. She relayed the conversation to Sam, hoping for some semblance of support. "Mary, just give her the rooms. It'll be easier for everyone," he said, his voice irritatingly calm. "Easier for you maybe, not for me, not for our guests." "I'm not doing it, Sam. I'm not letting her win like this." He didn't argue further, but his silence spoke volumes. Mary spent the night poring over the commission's notes, determined to fix everything on her own terms. She called contractors, adjusted schedules, and rerouted some of their opening budget to cover the unexpected fixes. Every action was a defiance, a declaration that she wouldn't be pushed around. As the contractors buzzed around fixing each item on the list, Mary couldn't help but feel a twisted respect towards Linda's ruthless tactics. She knew how to play dirty, but Mary was learning fast how to clean up and stand firm. The sun hadn't even fully risen yet, and there she was at the hotel, double-checking every little detail. In just a week, they'd be opening the doors to the public, and everything had to be perfect. Mary was adjusting a crooked picture in one of the hallways when the front door slammed open. The echo was ominous enough to set her nerves on edge. She turned around, and there they were, Linda marching in like she owned the place, with Sam trailing behind her, looking like he wished he were anywhere else. "Mary, show me to the rooms. I want to choose the best one for my stay," Linda commanded, her voice cutting through the quiet morning air. Mary stood her ground, feeling a mix of anger and dread swirling inside her. "Linda, as I've told you before, we're fully booked. I can arrange something for another time, but not for the opening." Linda's face twisted into a scowl, and before Mary could react, her hand struck Mary's cheek. The slap echoed off the walls, and a sharp sting radiated across her face. Mary stumbled back, hand to her cheek, shock overtaking her. "Sam!" she cried out, her voice a mix of pain and disbelief. Sam, her husband, the man who was supposed to have her back, just stood there, eyes averted. "Sam!" she cried out again, her voice a mix of pain and disbelief. Linda was relentless. "You ungrateful little thing. I've given you so much, and this is how you repay me. I helped you buy your apartment, your car, even this hotel. I demand the respect and recognition I deserve." Mary's mind reeled. What? What money are you talking about? She turned to Sam, seeking some semblance of truth in his avoiding gaze. He swallowed hard, his voice barely a whisper. "Mary, I didn't have the money when we bought the apartment. I took it from Mom, and I asked her for money for the hotel too. I thought it would help." The room spun around Mary as his words sank in. You used your mother's money without telling me. You lied to me." Linda smirked, a cruel satisfaction in her eyes. "Yes, and now I'll make sure I get what's mine. I'll sue you for half of this hotel. It should rightfully be mine." With those harsh words, she turned on her heel and marched out, Sam following like a shadow, leaving Mary alone with her betrayal and a throbbing cheek. She leaned against the wall, trying to process the storm of emotions. How could Sam do this to her? How could he not only lie about the money, but let his mother attack her and not defend her once? The initial shock had passed, and anger took over. Mary wasn't going to let Linda destroy what she had worked so hard to build. She pulled out her phone and texted her lawyer, asking for an urgent consultation. Later that day, she received a text from Sam, "Staying with Mom for now. Need some space." It wasn't unexpected, but it stung nonetheless. His absence made it clear he was avoiding the fallout from his mother's actions and his own inaction. As Mary lay in bed that night, the realization that her marriage was over settled in with a deep, painful certainty. Sam had chosen his side, and it wasn't hers. The silence of the room echoed the emptiness she felt inside, but amidst the heartache, there was also a strange sense of relief. She was free from the pretense of a supportive partnership. Now she could focus on her hotel, her dreams, without the burden of familial betrayal. The morning light was just beginning to fill the office of her lawyer, Scott. The heavy drapes parted slightly, casting long shadows across the floor. Mary was perched anxiously on the edge of the chair opposite his desk, recounting the latest threats from Linda and her claim on her hotel. "Mary, let's look at the facts," Scott said, flipping open the folder she had handed him. Inside were the financial documents and the prenuptial agreement Sam and Mary had signed before their marriage. "Based on this prenup, any property registered solely in your name remains yours in the event of a divorce." Mary nodded, following his finger as it traced the lines of legal jargon that suddenly felt like a lifeline. "And the hotel is in your name, correct?" Scott confirmed, looking up. "Yes, all the paperwork, the licenses, everything's under my name only." "That's good. It's very unlikely Linda's contributions, if any, can be legally proven would give her a claim strong enough to override the prenup," he reassured her, his tone confident. A wave of relief washed over Mary, loosening the tight knot of anxiety in her chest. "So I can open the hotel without looking over my shoulder legally?" "Yes, just keep everything documented, and let's hope it doesn't come to a family showdown." Scott gave a supportive smile. The reassurance from Scott bolstered Mary's spirits, just in time for the grand opening. The day was a whirlwind of activity. Mary was at the hotel early, helping Tina prepare for the influx of guests. The lobby buzzed with excitement and nerves. It was the culmination of so much hard work and dreams. The first guests started arriving, and the day slipped into a pleasant rhythm of greetings and check-ins. That peace was shattered by a call from the front gate. "Mrs. Parker, you need to come out here." The security guard's voice crackled over the radio. "What's the issue?" Mary asked, already walking briskly towards the entrance. "It's your mother-in-law. She's causing a scene at the main gate." Mary's heart sank. Not today, she thought as she approached. She could hear Linda's voice, loud and commanding. "I am the owner of this complex. You will let my car through this instant," she demanded, gesturing wildly at the bewildered guard. Linda, this area is for official use only. Even I park in the general lot, Mary said firmly as she reached the heated scene. Don't be ridiculous, Mary. I'm not lugging my bags from the parking lot. I'm staying here, and you will accommodate my needs, she snapped, her tone dripping with entitlement. With a huff, Linda yanked her bags from the trunk of her car and dropped them at Mary's feet. You carry these to my room, she said, assuming Mary would relent. Instead, Mary stepped aside, allowing Linda a clear path to the reception on her own. The trolleys are by the main entrance. Feel free to use one, Mary suggested, gesturing towards the hotel's front doors. Linda glared at her, her face turning a shade redder. Without another word, she turned and stormed off towards the reception, leaving her bags behind. Mary followed at a distance to ensure she didn't cause any further disturbances. However, as soon as Linda reached the reception desk, she erupted. I can't believe this, Mary. You promised me rooms, Linda bellowed, slamming her hand down on the counter. Her friends, a posse of similarly stern-faced women, glared over her shoulder at Tina, their receptionist, who looked like she wished the floor would swallow her up. Mrs. Parker, I'm sorry, but we are fully booked. Mary told you this multiple times, Tina stammered, trying to maintain her professionalism despite the escalating scene. The commotion didn't go unnoticed. Guests in the lobby watched, some with raised eyebrows, others with phones poised, possibly capturing the meltdown. This is unacceptable. I'm your family, you owe me. Linda continued, her voice growing louder. It was clear she enjoyed the audience. Mary felt every eye in the lobby on her as she stepped forward. Linda, that's enough. You're disturbing our guests. Please lower your voice or leave. Linda's eyes flashed with fury. Or what, Mary? You'll throw out your own family? Yes, if I must. This is a business, and I will call the police if you continue to cause a scene, Mary warned, her voice firm, louder than she felt. The threat of police involvement seemed to take Linda by surprise. With a huff and a harsh, "You'll regret this," Linda stormed out, her entourage in tow. She paused at the door to throw a final glare Mary's way. You haven't heard the last of this, she spat out before exiting. Once they left, the lobby slowly returned to normal. Mary apologized to their guests and staff, praising Tina for handling the situation as well as she could. Despite the rocky start, the rest of the opening day went smoothly. Positive feedback from guests and a flurry of new bookings uplifted Mary's spirits. The hotel, her dream, was finally alive, with the buzz of satisfied customers and the promise of success. The following day, with the echo of Linda's threats still ringing in her ears, Mary called Luke, her father-in-law. She hadn't wanted to involve him, but things had gone too far. Luke, I need to talk to you about Linda. She's threatening me, and she made a scene at the hotel's opening yesterday, Mary explained once he picked up. Can you help me? She's out of control, and Sam isn't standing up to her. I'll do what I can. My wife respects very few things, but my interference might just sway her. Hang in there, Luke promised, his tone reassuring. They ended the call, and Mary felt a flicker of hope. Maybe Luke could get through to her. A couple of days later, Luke called Mary to set up a meeting. He chose a neutral place, a quiet cafe downtown, to discuss everything. As Mary walked in, the sight of Sam looking anxious, Linda avoiding her eyes, and Luke's stern face set the stage for what she knew would be a decisive confrontation. Thank you for coming, Mary, Luke started, his voice firm as he nodded at her. Let's get straight to the point. Linda, unusually subdued with Luke present, just clasped her hands tightly in her lap, her face pale. First, Luke turned to Linda. I want this nonsense to stop. If you continue harassing Mary, I'll cut off your allowance. Linda's eyes widened. But I know. Luke cut her off sharply. It seems you've forgotten that you don't have any money of your own. It's all coming from me. Mary watched as Sam shifted uncomfortably in his chair. His mother's financial dependency was clearly news to him. And Sam, Luke continued, turning towards him with a disappointed look, I found out you've been lying about being employed. You're out of a job, and you've been letting your mother take loans to support your lifestyle. Sam's face turned a shade paler. Dad, I was going to tell you. Luke sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose. I will clear those merits, but you're going to work for me, and every penny you earn will go towards paying me back. We'll start with a formal agreement. Sam nodded meekly, overwhelmed, but knowing better than to argue with his father in this state. Turning to Mary, Luke's expression softened. Mary, I'm sorry for all this trouble. How are you holding up? Mary took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. I'm managing, Luke, thank you. But I think it's best if Sam and I go our separate ways. I plan to file for divorce. Sam looked at her, finally showing a hint of emotion. Mary, It's decided, Sam, Mary interrupted, not needing to hear excuses or apologies anymore. We'll sell the apartment and split the proceeds. You can use your half to settle your merits with your dad. He swallowed hard, nodding in resignation. Okay, I understand. And just to be clear, Mary added, pulling out a copy of their prenuptial agreement from her bag, you have no claim on the hotel. It was never part of our joint assets. Sam took the document, scanning it before sighing deeply. I got it. I won't fight you on this. Luke nodded in approval. I'll make sure he adheres to this agreement. After finalizing her divorce from Sam, Mary found herself at a new beginning. The sale of their shared apartment injected a significant amount of cash into her account, money that she was more than ready to reinvest in her future. Her hotel was thriving, and the opportunity to expand presented itself in the form of a neighboring building up for sale. She didn't hesitate. I'm telling you, this is the perfect spot for those family suites we talked about, Mary explained to her contractor over the phone, her eyes scanning the blueprints spread across her desk in the hotel's back office. Sure thing, Mary. We can start renovations as soon as you give the word, he replied, his voice crackling with static. As for her personal life, it had settled into a calm she hadn't felt in years. The divorce, while painful, was a clean break. Sam now worked for his father's company, and according to Luke, he was paying back every penny of his merit with his salary. Luke was strict with him. No more idle time spent on games and foolish spending. Mary, I just want to make sure he learned something from all of this, Luke confided during one of their regular calls. He was the only link Mary still maintained with that side of the family. I hope he does, Luke, for his own sake, Mary replied, genuinely meaning it. Luke had always been good to her, and it felt right to keep that bridge intact. As for Linda, well, the last Mary heard, she'd managed to pay off some of her merits, but trouble never did seem to stray far from her door. A friend who knew her told Mary she was already sinking into new loans, always playing catch-up with her lavish lifestyle. Can you believe she started begging Luke again? Her friend gossiped over coffee one afternoon. I can believe a lot of things about Linda, Mary chuckled, shaking her head. I'm just glad it's no longer my circus. Life at the hotel was bustling. The new building project was well underway, and the excitement of expanding, of creating something that was entirely hers, filled her with a sense of purpose she hadn't realized she'd been missing. Each decision, from the type of curtains to the layout of the kids' play area, felt like a piece of a dream she was piecing together day by day. One late evening, as Mary was locking up, Luke dropped by unexpectedly. He glanced around the busy lobby with a smile. You've really made something incredible here, Mary. It feels good, building something lasting. Anyway, you're part of the reason I made it through, so thank you. Mary waved off the thanks with a chuckle. All I did was stand back and watch you handle it all like a champ. Just make sure you keep a room available for me from time to time. You've got a lifetime pass, Mary assured him, and they both laughed, the sound echoing slightly in the quieting hall as he left. Mary turned back to her hotel, the lights of the lobby casting a warm glow through the darkness. It was more than just a building. It was a testament to a journey of growth, of battles fought and won, and the promise of new adventures just around the corner.